Coca-Cola is a blue chip stock and it's one of the most iconic companies in the world. But has it been a good investment? Just how much would a $1,000 investment in the stock 10 years ago be worth today, with and without including dividends? Let's find out. Coca-Cola's business has been steadily growing over the years. In 2024, its sales rose by a little under 3%. It's not a growth machine these days, but the business is still strong. The big thing about it is its dividend. It's an important reason why investors buy shares of the business in the first place. It's yielding 3%, and the company has also been increasing the payout regularly. It's a dividend king, which is a group of stocks that has increased their dividend payments for at least 50 consecutive years. Coca-Cola's streak was extended to 63 years earlier this year, when its board approved a 5.2% hike to the dividend. So when looking at Coca-Cola's stock returns, it's important to also factor in dividend income, since that plays such an important piece of the puzzle for investors. In the past 10 years, the S&P 500 index, which serves as a benchmark and indicator for how the overall market is doing, has risen by approximately 200%. And when you include dividend payments, that's an increase of 265%. By comparison, Coca-Cola's stock has increased by 71% in value. And with dividends, its total returns are 130%. So what does this mean in actual dollars? Well, if you invested $1,000 in a Coca-Cola stock a decade ago, your investment today would be worth $1,700. But with reinvested dividends, then you're up to approximately $2,300. If you just went with the S&P 500, then your investment would be worth more than $3,000, and that rises to $3,600 once you include dividend payments. Historically, the S&P 500 has risen by an average of 10% per year. That means that on average, every 7 years, your investment is likely to double in value. What has Coca-Cola stock averaged over the past decade? If we take its 130% total return, we can calculate the compounded annual growth rate by adding 1 and raising it all to the power of 1 over 10. This calculation shows us that it has averaged an annual return of around 8.7%. That's below the S&P 500 average of 10%, and that's evident given that the stock has underperformed the index over the past 10 years. Does this mean Coca-Cola stock is a bad buy? Of course not. Coca-Cola stock isn't a growth stock. Investors primarily invest in it for its dividend and long-term stability. If you're a risk-averse investor and you just want to collect a dividend and not worry about what's happening in the markets, then a stock like Coca-Cola can make a lot of sense for you to hold. You're missing out on some potential gains by going with Coca-Cola stock rather than going with a growth stock or even the S&P 500. But in return for that, you get a safer all-around investment. Coca-Cola may not be the ideal stock for young people to hold on to who have a lot of investing years left and who can afford to hold on for many years, but if you're in retirement or near retirement, then stability and preserving your capital is going to be much more important since you need to access your money sooner and can't afford to endure a possible crash and then to wait for a recovery. Different stocks will appeal to different kinds of investors at different stages of their lives. Coca-Cola can be a great investment for its dividend income as its regular increases will help offset the effects of inflation. But if you're hoping for a big return, then in that case, you might be better off going with a more high-powered stock, perhaps in tech, which may have more upside. And it's also important to remember that past returns don't predict the future. Coca-Cola may have underperformed the market over the past 10 years, but so far in 2025, it has outperformed the S&P 500. With stocks being more expensive and investors looking to go into safer stocks like Coca-Cola, it actually may end up performing better in the near term, especially if there's a correction or a slowdown in the market. The bottom line is that Coca-Cola is a great stock to hang on to, even if its returns haven't been all that impressive over the past 10 years.